So for the viewers, we have with us today a very special guest. He's an internationally certified speaker who's passionate about empowering people and helping them achieve their goals. He can actually look beyond the statistics and look into the more visceral side of things, and actually make decisions that not only help you deliver a product that is exceptionally good, but something that can get you places. Please put your hands together for Saurabh Datta. He's a consultant, a public speaker, an internationally acclaimed businessman and entrepreneur who's been in the industry for a long time. I apologize for the camera. Who's been on the industry for a long time, and he's had experience in doing things that we all aspire to do. So it's a great pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure to be with the students back. So I always
All
enjoy
right,
being in
sir.
the campus. So now due to the COVID, I'm not able to join any of the actual classes. So I'm a teacher at various colleges, and
I
unfortunately, I'm
see.
not able to join any of those because of COVID. These sessions kind of gives you an opportunity to live those moments. So thank you for
Yeah,
having me here.
it's a pleasure, sir. So let's get started with the questions right away. The first question I'd like to ask you is what does work at Practive entail? Your latest entrepreneurial endeavor, Practive, a consultancy service, if I'm not wrong. What does a day at Practive look like?
So, Practive, so what does React Practive look like? I think first I should tell you what is Practive. So, Practive is
Sure.
actually a training and consulting firm, and uh, it's a company or an LLP that is registered with the Ministry of Company Affairs for those particular services. But to be real, Practive is more of a dream for us. For me and my partner Madhu, Practive is something that we started giving up a very successful career. So successful as people define it, right? I mean, we had all the material benefits in terms of perquisites or remuneration and all that. We gave
Job
all that
security,
up,
yeah.
job security and everything, and and we decided to start something on our own because Practive was like a dream coming true, a dream that we wake up every day morning and and we don't think about what meetings do we have, but we think that who are those people whose lives will touch today, who are those students. So last 1 month we have trained more than 2000 students, close to 2000 students of various engineering colleges on campus to connect, campus to work programs, right? So and every day we wake up in the morning, we think that today there are so many students we are going to touch their lives on, and the entire day goes in planning that only. What do we need to do? How do we need to work with them? What kind of curriculum do we need to? What stories they we can relate with? Every student is from a different background, so a lot of the time, me and Madhu spend the time on reading stories, so that we can give you examples and analogies when we're doing those trainings, which you can relate with, and not everyone can relate with the same kind of stories, right? So reading a lot of
Yes,
stories, making a lot of presentation, meeting a lot of people. So there is no 2 days which is the same really. Every day is different at Practive.
I see. It must be a pleasure to work there, sir. So, while you're working at Practive, the pandemic kind of shut everything down, right? So, how's productivity been during the pandemic with all the lockdown and stuff happening?
Practive was born on 5th of June. 17th of June. So 16th of June is my birthday. And they
Okay.
wanted to have it on the same day as my birthday. Did not work out that way. It was 1 day late.
All
The
right.
government of India did not want it to be the same. So we ended up being 1 day late. So we incorporated on 17th of June, which is bang in the middle of lockdown and pandemic. So
Hmm.
Practive was not new to pandemic. Practive is something which came erupted from within the pandemic, right? So uh, one is that. The other thing is that and because it came up during pandemic, what happened is we never had this kind of a problem, or we were never at this juncture where we had to decide that now we have to move from here to there. We always started within the pandemic, so we knew that this is the new normal. This is where we have to go forward, right? So we did not
Yes.
have to make any kind of adjustments. We knew very well what we were getting into. It did not close any doors. It opened a ton of doors for us. Millions of doors opened up. This is one door where I'm standing at right now with you. right? And several such doors
Yes.
opened up every day, doors and windows and ventilators, whatever you want to call them. Some big opportunities, some small opportunities, but we never ran short of opportunities, never. So I don't
I
know whether I
see.
should thank the pandemic. I definitely should not, because the pandemic has taken up so many lives and so many
Yes.
livelihoods. I can never thank the pandemic. But Tractive has, fortunately, unfortunately, we have never had a struggle. We actually got a lot of benefit because of this.
I see. So like Practive was born from like forged from the heart of the worst of times, so to speak. So it'll stand even when the times are tough. That's great, sir.
Hope
So
so.
speaking speaking of the pandemic, what kind of impact do you see like the pandemic having on the industry? Like in the long run, let's say 4 or 5 years down the line, when all of this is settled down a bit, what impact do you see the pandemic leaving on the industry, the livelihoods of the workers and stuff?
Uh, See, I think one big change that I noticed is that previously the question was, this was a very popular question. So I have worked in the corporate for the last 17 years, for 18 years. 10 years
Okay.
I've been in analytics and data science. In my last couple of roles, I was leading analytics and data science teams for some of the large US corporations like Hewlett Packard, Target, JCPenney, uh, big brands, big names, and all that. One very popular question that we used to ask people, and people used to ask us, do you want to change? How ready are you to change? And
Hmm.
we used to get fantastic answers. We used to give fantastic answers to those questions, get a lot of applause for those. Today, no one is asking that question. It's a stupid question to ask.
Yes.
Change has now come upon us. Whether you like it or not, whether you're a teacher teaching at the Montessori school, whether you're a professor teaching in college, whether you're a data scientist, whether you are someone else, the change has come upon us. Now it is your turn. There used to be a very
Yes.
popular meme which used to say that, one speaker is asking, how many of you want change, and all hands go up. Then the next meme is, how many of you want to be a part of the change? How many want you to change? Then no hands go up. I think that kind of memes will become irrelevant from now. Today, everyone will have to change. Look at the industry around us, right? I mean, look at retail, for instance.
Yeah.
When I moved out of JCPenney, which was October last year, JCPenney was still in the stages where they were struggling. From October last year to this year, it has gone almost a long way downhill, and part of that has happened because of our inability over the years to make some adjustments to change. On the other hand, if you look at a company like Target, right? I mean, the way they have grown, Target is the only company which is opening, I mean, probably one of the few companies which are still opening stores, whereas all the retail companies across the world are only closing down stores. They are opening
Yes.
stores and they are doing it with a bang. How are they doing it? Just by making those adjustments proactively. They are being responsive, not reactive. Target or any of these companies which are very progressive in their outlook, they did not get into the change bandwagon because of pandemic. That was reactive. People who tried to do that, most of them failed. Target was
Hmm.
responsive. They could see something like that coming. It was a pandemic in our case. It could have been an earthquake. It could have been a wildfire. It could have been something totally randomly different. They would never know. Something like a Y2K virus, right?
Yeah.
Something which hits the internet. It could have been anything. And Target or Amazon or some of the companies that we kind of look up to, which are truly innovative, they are responsive. They don't wait for a pandemic to change. I think that is one big change that the pandemic will bring. People will realize that you can't afford to be reactive anymore. You have to be responsive. Pandemic hits me, then I will go online. Pandemic hits me, then I will buy a web camera. That will not work.
So you always have to be ready for whatever changes people, nature, or the world might throw at you.
And read the writing on the wall. You have to keep an eye on the horizon. You cannot just be focused on your today and tomorrow and
Yes.
expect that things will be fine going forward and we will rock. It's good to be optimistic, but if you're optimistic inside a cocoon in a shell, you're actually
Yes.
not being optimistic, you're being stupid.
So we have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst as well.
Precisely.
All right, sir. Sir, when you're not working, I mean, you're an entrepreneur. I'm assuming like more than 12 or 13 hours of your days spent working on your goals. But when you're not working, what do you like to do? How do you spend your time when you're not working?
So uh, I have a pretty active social life as well, and or rather, I would say I had before
I see.
Corona and COVID came in, right? So, but one of the things that I really enjoy doing is biking. I am biking as in not bicycle, but motorcycle.
I
So
see.
I'm a kind of a roadie, so I drive around. I drive across a lot. I have my own bull. It's a Thunderbird, Enfield Thunderbird, and I kind of love going around the city and just randomly driving around. I waste a lot of petrol in that process, so maybe people who are concerned about the environment are not happy with me. But that's my biggest stress buster. Just going on a drive and not stopping and not going heading anywhere, but just randomly driving. And funny it may sound, but I also enjoy driving in Bangalore roads. Most people don't,
Really?
but I do. Yeah, but I still do.
With all the
And
traffic.
even with all the traffic, when I'm on the bike, I don't really care what's happening around me. I just get a different kind of high. So that's one thing which keeps me going. The other thing is my daughter. Right now also she is outside the door. She's just waiting to barge in. The moment the door opens, she will barge in, and she wants to join every call that I am in. She wants to join every meeting that I'm on. She's 5 years
Uh-huh.
old.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so that's why she takes a lot of my time. And then I have got friends, I also interact and engage with them a lot. Uh, I like most of you and all of you. I have a few special friends. I talk with them every day, and there are a few friends that I kind of socialize time and again. Pandemic gives me that opportunity to kind of speak to more people. Yeah, so I think that's how it goes: socialization, family, bike. I also work out every day. I have a little bit of kind of I have a very strict routine in terms of workout.
I
So
see.
I spend some time in terms of that also. So
Okay, that you live a very productive life. That's like very good to know. So it's inspiring, so to speak.
thank
Okay,
you.
sir. This is a trend I've noticed with most entrepreneurs. Do you read books? And if you do, which one? Like, are there any books that have like been life changing or inspired you to do something?
Yeah, it sounds a little it's not. I don't know how really everyone reads books. That many books, I'm not very sure because it sounds it sounds very intellectual. So we have to say that we read books. But yeah, I do read books, and uh, I used to read more when we did not have Google Feed. Now Google Feed takes a lot of things that's happening around us. A lot of information comes from the internet. So
True.
I'll be very honest. I read less now than I used to read before. But there are certain books which if you don't read, you don't get that feel. So one is Straight from the Guts by Jack Welch, and then there was one book about yes, an elephant can change. I'm forgetting the name of the author. This was written by two authors. It was about the change that I think Microsoft brought in. Uh,
Okay.
those are some of the books that I really liked. But yeah, I do. When I read books, I don't enjoy reading fiction so much. I enjoy reading more books which are related to the business space and like the examples I gave. Uh,
Hmm.
there is one book by Robert Greene called Power. I think 53 Absolute Rules of Power or something. If you Google it, you'll find it. Robert Greene's
Yes,
Power.
Robert Greene. Yeah, I read that book. It's
It's a
inspiring.
very controversial book. It's a very controversial book.
True.
Some people called it blasphemic. Some of the things you'll find there actually will kind of give you goosebumps because in our deepest minds where it's inhibitions are not there, we think like that, and he has brought all of that up. But there's one
Yes.
book which has changed my life, which is by Jim Collins. It's called From Good to Great, and
Hmm.
that made a big change in my life. And it happened also because I have witnessed Jim Collins live uh, in US when I was with Target, and he was a guest speaker at one of our Target events.
Okay.
And he doesn't accept many of the invitations. Okay, so that time Target was going through a transformation stage. And remember, Target never had this all rosy, by the way. We had a big
Hmm.
struggle. We had to close down our Canada business, close down 125 stores because we got it all wrong. But such a bold company we went across, apologized, and said that yes, we made a wrong decision. We are closing down all the stores. We'll come back with a bang. Before that, also Target has a data breach. In 2013-14, there was a major data breach across all Target stores. All our credit card data got stolen away. And that went for multiple years of litigation. So it's not that Target had it all easy and rosy. We had multiple stages of struggle. And amidst that, Jim Collins came into that session and he said that I don't accept many such assignments, but this one was, really, something which I wanted to do because I see this company trying to go from good to great. And there he talked about a couple of things. And when I read the book, I found those things in the book also. So one thing why I feel this book has actually changed my life and keeps, it comes top of my mind is the 20-mile march. I follow that as a discipline. If you want to do some kind of a change every day, you need to do that thing precisely to that extent. So I'll give gymming as an example. Many of us want to get fit, right? And we want to go to the gym. And we go for a month or a couple of months, and then after that we give up. Kuch nahi ho raha hai, nothing is happening. Man, I'm wasting money. And then we crack all kind of jokes about ourselves and all that. Looks funny. But at the end of the day, the fact is that we are defeating our purpose, right? So instead of that, I had the same cycle, by the way. I had enrolled 6 times in the gym and never could continue beyond 6 weeks. This time, after reading Jim Collins' book, when I went to the gym, so the 20-mile march practice, principle I put in practice. And one of the things I started doing is, the first thing I did is every day I'll go to the gym for 1 hour. Just 1 hour. I will not go for 2 hours. I will not go for 10 minutes. I will go exactly for 1 hour. And every day. If it is raining, I will go. If it is sunny, I will go. If I'm too busy, I will go. If my girlfriend has ditched me, I will go. Right? Unless and until I'm bedridden, unless and until the doctor has told me that I should not go to the gym, I will go to the gym. So that discipline, I did for the first 1 month. Every day I'll go to the gym for 1 hour and I'll spend only 1 hour. I'm feeling very enthusiastic. Today I'm going to, become Arnold Schwarzenegger and come back. So I'll pump iron for 2 hours. Next day, I will feel lazy and not get up from the lounge, not like that. And then after that, I kept on pushing that. Like every day I'll go to the gym for 1 hour, do 30 minutes of cardio, 30 minutes of weight training. Then I kept on pushing that envelope. So this is what the 20-mile march is about. You don't do 21 miles one day, 30 miles one day, 2 miles one day. You don't make progress that way. Every day without fail, if you make 20 miles of march, if you walk for 20 miles, you are bound to reach your destination. And that is what Jim Collins talks about in this book. It's a wonderful theory. I mean, try putting this in practice, guys. I think it will really change your life. And I know management theory is a little cliched, but this one, try it out because this has worked for a lot of people. It worked for Target also. We decided that we will make one change in our innovation strategy every day. One change, small change, big change. And we did it consistently. It helps. It really helps. So that's why this book is my favorite.
Yes, this brings up one point that actually I've fallen prey to a lot of time. Like I'm doing something, people try to do too much and overestimate what they can do in a short amount of time, and then they end up failing in that, and then they just quit because they failed in it. So
exactly.
Instead of doing that, we just have to set goals that are within our reach and try to accomplish those one step at a time, as they say.
Exactly.
Yes. So, sir, you mentioned quitting your job last year in October, right? So when did you feel that you could no longer go the corporate route? You just had to quit and start your own endeavor. You had to become an entrepreneur. You had to live the life, so to speak.
So
what was the Eureka moment?
Yeah, Practive is my third entrepreneurial venture. Just after in October, when I quit, after that, I started the first company, the second company, which is Skillect, which was in consulting. The company is still there, but I am kind of focusing more on the training part. So that is more into consulting. I still do a lot of overseas consulting with that company. I'm a director in that company as well. So these are basically for retail clients. I do a lot of assignments which are online. So they extend their business problems to me and I have to solve those business problems. Basically something I've been doing for the last 10 years and getting paid a salary. And here I'm getting paid, in terms of some other kind of remuneration. But the first time I started a company was, I think, in 2012, around 2012-13. And this was called GigCare, GIGCARE, GigCare. And
Okay.
so GigCare was a company which was basically into, you'll probably be very happy about it, that it was about parties that you do in the
Okay.
clubs, bars,
Okay.
pubs. Yeah. See, you're smiling. I told you you'll be happy about it. Yeah. So GigCare used to organize parties. So there's a lot of parties that happens in Bangalore, right? And now, no, used to happen till before pandemic. So,
Huh.
and it was a big struggle to get people to those parties because like there are so many parties, right? And people would be like, which one do I go to?
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there was no Zomato of parties. Like there was not an app where you can go and say, which party do I go to? Right? And then they ask you, what kind of party do you want? You want a party
Hmm.
with booze, without booze? What kind of music do you like? EDM, hip hop? What kind of crowd
Yeah.
are you looking for? 18 to 25, 25 to 35, right? You did not have those
Huh.
options to make a selection and say, bingo, go to park, right? So we
Huh.
wanted to get into that space. And the biggest
Okay.
challenge of getting into that space was data, because getting that kind of data is hard. So that was the first
Yes.
entrepreneurial venture. So, and it failed. It failed due to various reasons. I will not go into the details. But at that
Okay.
20 years back, I would have been very shy telling that on camera that it failed. Now I think failing is sexier than succeeding. The world is changing in a better way, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs say, like, I have two failed ventures. So here I am. I've got one failed venture. That's how it started off. That was the first time when I had this feeling. But I was never serious because, I always, Taleb is a very popular author. I don't know if I've read his name, heard his name, Taleb. So Taleb said
Hmm.
there are three addictions which are hard to give up: drugs, cocaine, and monthly salary. So this third
Hmm.
addiction, the monthly salary, is a very big addiction. I could never give that up. So I never kind of went into actually full-fledged entrepreneurship. But then I decided that, this is not going to work like that. Half heart in the business, half heart in the job, half time worrying about keeping the job, half of the time worrying about doing something better. It's not fun.
True.
Yeah, not getting salary is not fun either. So I don't know the exact answer, to be very honest. I think it would have probably been when I first started my entrepreneurial venture. That's probably when it bit me. And then it bit me harder probably last year. So hard I left my job.
I see. Well, what inspired you to start your current venture, the Practive?
So when I was in data science, and I was the director of data science and analytics with JCPenney, right, and Target, as I said. And one of the things I used to observe is that the brightest of the kids from these engineering colleges, they would come, and we used to hire from IIT Madras and IIT
Okay.
Bombay and all that, right? So they were the
Hmm.
brightest of the lot. But one thing I observed in them is that when they actually start working, they're more nervous than a lot of the other people around them. People who are much less in caliber, people who are much less in technical skills, they would easily overpower these guys who are like super talented guys,
Hmm.
brightest of the bright I worked with. I'm very proud about the people that I worked with. And that kind of hit me that, why are these guys not so successful? And I noticed that it's a common factor, the same things that they're lacking about confidence, empathy, emotional intelligence, things which can be
Hmm.
trained on, things which they can learn. And I started, kind of giving them one-on-one mentoring to my team members. And I changed a lot of their lives. I am today very proud to say that at least I can immediately name 10 people who have worked with me who are right now studying in one of the Ivy League colleges of US and whose lives I've touched and who have changed. At least five of them have a LinkedIn recommendation on my profile. So I'm not
Hmm.
boasting without facts. I'm a data person, so I have to give data points. So at least
Yes.
five of them have a LinkedIn recommendation on my profile. You'll find. So these are the guys who kind of, when I worked with them, I realized that if you invest a little bit on them, we make a big change in them. And that's where I decided that I need to do something where I can bring a change. So Tractive basically aims at upskilling the data scientists, the statisticians, the engineers on factors which make them successful, because the coding alone does not make you successful.
Hmm.
You can
True.
be a coder all your life and you'll become a developer, a senior developer, a very senior developer, a manager developer, and then senior manager product development, and still report to an MBA,
Hmm.
who will straight away come in as a director from somewhere. right? And
Yes.
you are like, okay, so I was developing code. Then they'll say, okay, you please develop codes again. I'll give you a 25% raise. Now that is something which pained me. And I'm not an engineer, so I felt like an imposter also. Like I know so less than my team, and here I am sitting here enjoying all the perquisites and telling them what to do and not to do. So
Hmm.
that's what inspired me to start something where these guys become more powerful and more in charge.
Wow, it's very selfless, sir. Well, on behalf of all the students that you have done this for, I thank you. Now, following in the same tonality, a leadership and the ability to carry a big team is always seen as a big part of success and entrepreneurship, whatever it may be. Are there any specific qualities that make a great leader?
So the first thing I would say is there are two things. One is that ability to drive transformation, and the second thing is about keeping data at the midst of everything. So we make two mistakes as leaders. The first thing is that we are scared, we're insecure. So every
Hmm.
leader who are not that great that I've seen who worked with me or worked for me or worked over me, one thing was constant. They were every day coming to work with the fear that, do I have my job tomorrow? So if you're
Hmm.
coming to work with the fear that, do I have my job tomorrow? You cannot inspire
Hmm.
others. Let's be serious about it. Uh,
True.
so a true leader has to be at the center of transformation, has to be bold enough to drive transformation, challenge himself, challenge others. Uh, that is one thing. The other thing is about keeping information and insights and data at the center of everything because uh, leadership using gut feeling or the so-called sixth sense, that's not going to work anymore. I don't know if COVID or pandemic or lockdown was in anyone's sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth, 100th sense. I don't think it was. Right?
Hmm.
So let's be real. We have to use data. I know COVID was beyond any kind of data also. Right? If I
Yes.
don't think there was a single market projection done last year, which said that the market will be like this year. But then
Hmm.
COVID happens once in 100 years. But even in the
Yeah.
normal situation, if you see, we have to, as a leader, make decisions based on data about information, not go and ask people. I want to start a new business. I want to start a new shop. What do? We go and ask people, should I open a shop here? Whom are you asking? You are asking a person who doesn't have a shop there, or at least he doesn't have an ice cream shop there if you want to open an
True.
ice cream shop. Use
Yes.
data, do market research, right? There's so much of information available today. Or create your own information, but use data. So using data at the center of keeping data center of decisions is the most important thing that you need to do as a leader. And don't be insecure, drive transformation. Because you being insecure will not help you. Transformation will happen, change will happen. Someone will come and kick you out. So don't
Hmm.
keep on worrying about your butt. Keep moving.
True. Okay, sir, I'd like to discuss the current status of entrepreneurship and businesses in our country. So India's GDP has been declining like quite a lot, like every quarter, like for a year or so now. How do you think
Mhm.
this is going to affect the small businesses and local like entrepreneurs?
See, this is hard. I mean, even before the pandemic hit, probably we have been going through a little bit of a crisis, and it has been kind of going ups and downs. But I think that's normal for any economy, for any business. We will bounce back, right? So I think there's no need for us to go into a panic mode. Uh, what is great about this country is that there's a lot of talent and there's a lot of young talent.
Hmm.
So people are giving examples, outrageous examples like Venezuela and countries which have gone through total bankruptcy and total inflammation and all that. I
Hmm.
think there could be some political gains that we can achieve out of those kind of fear mongering, but in the long run, that is not going to help us. We as a nation, for our political system to also survive, thrive, they also need people around us, right? So they have to also understand that fear mongering will not help. We have a real problem. Yes, that's true. It's true that the economy is going through some shambles. But I think that's true across the world. Now the comparison has started. Who is performing worse? How does it matter?
Hmm.
Whether you're declining by 30% or 35 or 25%, that 5% gap of analysis, why are we splitting hairs over that? We are dropping. That is the biggest reality. We need to fight that. Whether we are dropping by 25% or 35%, we have to try it. I think that is something that we'll have to change, and it will change. It is just a matter of time. One good thing is that more and more people have started coming into entrepreneurship. People have started relying less and less on jobs. We are seeing a lot of young people like you coming in, very early stages of their career. People are taking up a first business venture rather than a first job. Awesome decisions are being made, right? So I think I'm very bullish. I'm very positive about it. I think we are going to go places. It's just a slight pause, a good opportunity for us to kind of take rest, have a chilled beer, take some deep breath, listen to good music, and then tomorrow start running at a greater speed. That's it. Not a big deal. It'll work out fine.
Okay, so once all this is said and done, like the economy is gonna take a toll, right, sir? So once this like pandemic is over, which industry will see a boom in like growth?
Every industry will see growth because every industry has gone down to negative almost now. So if you're doing a Y-on-Y comparison, I don't think there will be any industry which will not see growth. It is pure statistics, right? This year, everything has been like 0 or 10. So next year, even if it is 11 or 12, it will still be growth. So growth will be there everywhere next year. But that growth is nothing that we should be proud of because we went down somewhere and then we are coming up again to the pre-normal levels, right? I think the right question is which industry will be the most relevant or will be the most impacted. And I think some of the industries that will be the most impacted are travel, tourism, retail. Retail will be very, very much impacted. And retail has been going through a lot of change. And I have spent, out of my 18 years of my career, I have spent 15 years in retail almost. So I think I can speak with some amount of confidence that retail is going to go through a tremendous amount of change. It is already going through some change. So these industries will change. But these industries, again, will bounce back stronger because they have gone through the hardships that no other industries can probably imagine going through in the next 100 years. You know, hotels closed for years, for months and months and months. I have a few hotelier friends and they are telling us that this is so scary. This was so scary on March and this is so inspiring on July that we are still alive and we are fighting back. So it changed. If it was a one-day thing or a one-month thing, it would have been different. People's mindset have changed. People are not looking at pandemic as a threat. They're looking at it as an opportunity. Everyone. So travel, tourism, hospitality, retail, anything which touches the B2C industry is mostly going to go through a lot of change and growth.
True, sir. On the other side of the things, the government, okay, so the government has been bringing in a lot of foreign investment into the country, focusing on getting foreign development, like big foreign companies to get, like, to make products in our country, sell them here, export and import and stuff. So how do you think that is going to impact entrepreneurs in our country? And what do you think the government's perspective is on entrepreneurship in general?
I think not only this government, all governments in general have been always supportive about entrepreneurship. Maybe the kind of programs that we seeing today is more positive. Maybe some of the products are more realistic. Maybe because of social media, we are getting more mileage. We are seeing more mileage coming in and all that. But every government wants entrepreneurship because without that, the cycles, the wheels of an economy cannot move. So this is constant. And this government is actually doing a great job also in terms of convincing people and getting those kind of dollars coming in. So this will definitely pump in a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the push has to come from us, right? So India has got a few strategic advantages which we have to use to our benefit. The young population, the young working population, the employable population, and also about the education, English as a language that we use. So there are many countries which are better than us, but English is a serious disadvantage. I'll give you an example as Mexico. Mexico is really good, but I actually had set up a center in Mexico when I was working for HP. We had set up a nearshore center there in Guadalajara. And one of the serious disadvantages they have is on the language front because we don't have a lot of English-speaking people there. So we have to keep on using this to our advantage. Instead of starting getting complacent or worried or about. One thing which really I find a little bothering and which is why I left all social media platforms is we waste a lot of time on unnecessary debates. People, it really doesn't
True.
matter. Like if you
True.
look at currently some of the things that's happening, and I will not want to go into any controversy here, but I understand, I am also feeling the same thing about some of those incidents, but then I'm not a detective and neither am I a doctor, right? So I really don't have a business. I can keep on commenting every day on my Facebook wall or on my Twitter handle, but will that change anything? So let us raise our voice, but then after a certain point of time, let's back to being a little sensible and sane. If we stop wasting time on social media, memes and this and that, a lot of time we spend on unproductive things. I think if we stop doing that, probably we can give it back to our own learning and growth and earning. So.
True. All right, sir. What is one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's following in your footsteps in the path of going about like building their own career and stuff, like entrepreneurship?
One thing I told already, the 20-mile march, right? The discipline. The other thing I would say about is the hedgehog. Hedgehog is an animal which actually uses their nose to dig down into the ground.
Yes.
Why hedgehog? What is special about this animal is that this animal doesn't have any other quality. They don't have those, things like the porcupines have. They don't have a hard shell like a tortoise. They don't have a teeth of a lion, the strength of a lion. But still, they're one of the biggest survivors. And why? Because they can only do one thing very well. What is that thing? Using their nose to dig into the ground. That they have mastered with such an art. They use that for everything. For finding food, for surviving from enemies, for hiding, for praying, everything. We have to be like a hedgehog. And this is again, I'm borrowing from Jim Collins. He talked about the hedgehog principle. This is one advice I would ask people, focus on one thing which you can do really well, better than everyone else.
Okay.
I think that is very important. Focus on one thing. Don't try to do too many things and, get lost.
Okay, so going back to your roots, is there anything you would do differently if you had the choice to start all over again?
Okay. I really don't think so. I think I have had a pretty, life without regrets. I've done a lot of mistakes. I've been good, nice, naughty, evil, everything. I'm a human being, so I've gone through all of it. But at that particular point of time, I enjoyed what I did. So if I'm given a chance to go back and do that again, I'll probably do it the same way, exactly the same way. So if I had fun then why change it now? Because that moment it was right? So this moment also, I really don't think so. I think I have had a pretty regretless life. So I'll do exactly things the way it has been. Yeah, in terms of my physical features, some things I may want to change if I have that option. Like I feel my nose is a little bigger, my eyes are a little distorted, smaller. So all those things I can change, but that's not really something in my control. If I'm going back to that level of roots, yeah. But otherwise, I think I'm fine.
All right. So I'll just ask my viewers if they have any questions for you. If not, we'll close the session then. If any of you have any questions, please write them in the comments and Saurav sir will help try answering them. Okay, while we're waiting, I have one question for you, sir. Do you spend, you said you don't really like social media, right? But
no, I do. Some of the times I get a little pissed off, but I do. I also spend a lot of time wasting time on this. Yeah, tell me.
So social media is really crucial to growing any business today, correct?
Yes.
So do you have any specific strategies that you follow while it comes to marketing your enterprise on social media?
Take negative feedback very seriously. That is something which I always follow, and it's not only about my current role. Even when I was working for others, for Target or Jessie, I used to always do this because I was in marketing and analytics. I had a role to play there, and I used to take negative feedbacks very seriously. So there's a very big investor and a big business leader in US. His name is Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary.
Yes.
So Kevin had a very wonderful video. He had said that 10 years back, if you were not happy with a certain service, you would go back home and tell your wife and crave about it and never go back. Today, if you go to a restaurant and you're not happy about the way the waiter looked at you, you just don't go back and tell your wife or girlfriend. Sitting in the restaurant, you tell 100 people and ask those 100 people to tell 1,000 people. And you do that on 5 different platforms. Sitting in that restaurant, you're on a mission to kill that restaurant. You're like waging a war against the restaurant. We do that, right?
Yeah, true.
Flipkart gives a broken phone. We go everywhere saying that Flipkart is bad, Flipkart is bad, Flipkart is bad.
Yes.
Right? So I think take negative feedback very seriously on social media because you can't just take it lightly.
Okay, so another question. This is kind of from me personally, but what are your thoughts on freelancing?
It's good, but you have to have an appetite, both more than financially. When I say appetite, people think financially, but I think more than financially, psychologically, because it's not easy. You don't have the protection. You don't have the monthly salary. You don't have someone you can go and look for pushing you. You'll have to wake up every day morning and push yourself. So psychologically, if you're not strong enough, it's something that you may want to think about. Financially, yes, I mean that's a no-brainer. But even psychologically, you have to be very strong. Otherwise, it may become a bit of a challenge. I was very lucky to have my partner, Madhu, who kind of joined me in starting the setup up. But initially, I started off working as a freelancer, so it's hard.
Okay, so we have a question. Trushika Arya asks, sir, what are you a person of vision or a person of hard work? Why?
So vision without hard work is like, again, going to the gym every day and running on the treadmill at a speed of 5 for 1 hour. That will only drain your body. You will feel more tired. You'll come back home and sleep and then feel very hungry and eat a full biryani. Maybe 2 biryanis, that will not help you lose weight. So that's like working hard without a vision. Having a vision but not hard work is like, sitting at home and thinking one day I will go to the gym. I will do this kind of reps. I will do so many squats. If I do so many squats, I will become so much fit. But never actually going to the gym. So I don't think it can be one or either. It has to be both because otherwise you'll do one of this. Either you'll go to the gym and waste your time and effort and come back getting nothing out of it. Or you'll sit at home and making strategy about going to the gym one day. None of that will make you fitter.
True. Well, sir, that was the last of it. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today with the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Center's session. It was an honor having you here today. You were very insightful. We hope to see you again someday here.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll be with us in person in college one day.
I'd love to. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, sir.